Ross Gerber just absolutely shocked me. Bloomberg is reporting that Ross Gerber plans to withdraw a long-shot effort to run for a position on the company's board, according to a person familiar with the matter. Tesla representatives spoke with Gerber in recent days, the person said, asking not to be identified as the discussions were private. The company has agreed to meet with Gerber next week around Tesla's Investor Day on March 1st to discuss his concerns about the electric vehicle maker's governance, the person said. On Twitter, Ross is now saying, after careful consideration, I have decided to withdraw my nomination for the Tesla board. As a friendly activist, I feel that shareholders have been heard. Looking forward to what Tesla has to show us next week. I can certainly appreciate some humor here as well. Flip-flopping, paper hander. Learn from the best flip-flopper I know. Let's see what reasoning Ross has behind this decision. I want to thank all the people and institutions that stepped up to support me, as well as my team at Gerber Kawasaki for dealing with me. Most importantly, I believe Tesla's best days are in front of them. Ross replied to one tweet, funny you said that. That was a major consideration. I didn't want to lose more time away from my kids. But then Ross is really teasing us, and I really want to know what actually came out of this. Wishing you the best, Ross. You had my support, and I truly believe you want what is best for the company. Sorry it didn't work out as planned, but bigger things are to come. It did work out, says Ross. More to come. Someone is teasing Ross. Thank you, Ross. Tesla stock will be up 10% on this news once the market opens. And maybe that's why Ross said, waited till market close. I don't think the stock will react to this. Thank you, Ross. Would have been an unnecessarily contentious process and potentially an unpleasant experience, which was not the goal, agrees, says Ross Gerber. Ross replied to this tweet as well. We have had our disagreements on Tesla, but I am happy for you. Being a director of just about any public company is not worth it when you take into account the litigation risk, the aggravation, distractions, and indirect costs, of which there are many. Assuming there is enough insurance to defend lawsuits. Ross says that was a consideration. I spent enough time with my lawyers already. Many people are reacting to this positively and very respectfully, even if they disagreed with Ross before, although some people are calling Ross out. What do I make out of all of this, and what do I think was his true motive for this board run? I think if Ross's goal was just to get publicity for his fund, I think it would have made a lot more sense to keep going until almost the final last minute, until you can still withdraw. I think that would have made more sense, unless he thinks or sees that this is already causing more damage for his personal brand than any publicity that he is generating. In that case, yeah, that would be smart to stop right now, but I don't think that he was getting really very negative publicity in a way that would be damaging his fund, although a lot of people certainly attacked Ross and were quite negative about Ross. And even in the event, let's assume that most of the attention was actually negative, still, because you're getting so much more attention, it doesn't really matter because more people know about you, so now more people will invest with you anyway. I think overall it has been a positive for Ross. However, because he stopped his run now, I think more likely it was Ross actually thinking he wants to help Tesla. And of course, there are other benefits that come with being on a board. But I think it's actually a little bit more complicated than just one of those reasons. I think if we look at the poll that Ross did initially back in January, when the sentiment was extremely bad and everyone that cared about the stock price short term was really upset. And even then, Ross only got 53% of the votes on the poll that he started. that he ran to his audience. But then I have seen about 5 other polls that retail Tesla stock investors did, many of them about this size, and all of them looked exactly like this. Only about 10% of the people would have voted for Ross. Keep in mind, this is retail. This is not asking how many shares do you have and then how many of these shares are going to be for Ross. But even then, it is very clear that retail overall, I think, is strongly against Ross running and becoming a member of the board. So the actual reason why Ross withdrew from this run, I think, is not that simple. One, of course, is the stock skyrocketed year to date, almost doubled. Then he probably got quite a bit more heat than he thought he otherwise would. No one really from retail is supporting Ross, at least no one who has a big audience, with one exception of Leo Cogman, the all-in billionaire Tesla stock investor. Although Meet Kevin would probably endorse Ross as well. But that pushback was huge. And I am so happy that I won't need to make any videos nitpicking what Ross wants to do. He wanted Elon to work 10 hours a day at Tesla or something like that. I made a video about that specific point. And when I saw this, I thought this is Ross selling Tesla stock, not a large amount, just 500 shares, but still selling Tesla stock, or what I thought was going to be just a client selling his ETF, which would have triggered the ETF to sell Tesla stock so that that client can basically get his money out. That's what I thought it most likely was, but turns out it was not. Turns out this was a rebalancing because Tesla stock increased, but then that raised some questions for me, and I thought, I'm just going to give this a few days, maybe up to a week, and then see what Ross is saying then about running for the board of Tesla. Maybe he changed his mind, because even if it is for rebalancing, and I understand you have to rebalance if you are a fund manager, but even then, it still looks very bad. If you are selling the stock, if you are buying a stock, that's fine, but if you are selling the stock while you are running to be elected to be on that company's board, that just feels a little bit strange to me. And oftentimes stocks just start exploding, and then if a portfolio manager has to rebalance, if that rebalancing just happens to happen around the time when something sensitive is going on inside the company, there is just going to be inevitable speculation that there is some sort of insider trading, even if there is no such thing going on. It just looks bad. But now this all makes perfect sense. It would appear to me that Ross probably knew about this a few days ago, and he probably did this rebalancing in his portfolio after he knew that almost certainly he's not going to run for the board anymore. And just to be clear, I'm not saying Ross cannot rebalance his portfolio or anything like that. I think that's fine. It just, the optics are incredibly bad if you're running for the board. And then there are a few other things like this. One of them I really did not like, and I'm happy that I don't need to post that anymore. I'm a gentleman, and I'm also Canadian, so I don't like to show someone's business out in the public. I like that Ross defends Tesla. He goes on TV, he talks positively about Tesla. I love that. And Ross has some concerns, and some of these concerns are valid, and Tesla has its own ways of dealing with these concerns and handling them. There's a plan long term for these. And I welcome Ross sharing his opinions on Twitter, letting all of us know what he thinks. I really welcome and I appreciate that. I respect that. And also I enjoy that. Any counter arguments to what we want to do are welcome, because that's really the quickest, simplest, fastest way to get to the truth. We explore both sides and then we see what actually makes sense. So all of that I really welcome. What I did not like was forcing an idea that from the beginning was just, how would you do that? Like the main thing that I had a problem with is reining in Elon. Here's the headline. And then you can watch this video around minute 12. Ross is basically saying he would want Elon to work something like 10 hours a day at Tesla. Elon clearly has said during court hearings that he would not want to be a company CEO if that meant that he had to be only a CEO of, for example, Tesla. He would not accept that. So I was just having a hard time understanding how that would not end up being just a huge disaster, and potentially the worst case scenario would be just Elon leaving Tesla. And then I don't think that would be a positive for Tesla stock long term. That would be a huge negative, I believe, if Elon just completely leaves. So to me, this is a happy ending. Ross got his concerns out. Tesla seems like has agreed to address some of those, I would think. Otherwise, why has Ross already withdrew his intention to run for the board? And even if you generally disagree with Ross, if you are a Tesla stock investor, I think we can all appreciate Ross defending Tesla stock and Elon in general when he goes on TV. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Postius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.